You're listening to The Frieze by NYY Recaps. I'm your host, Derek Lewandowski. Let's get started. Before we get started today, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. As is tradition in Major League Baseball, you're going to see a lot of pink bats today and a lot of pink equipment. That's something that Major League Baseball does to honor mothers every year. And I like when they do that. Sorry that I haven't had a podcast in the last couple of days. I did a little bit of YouTube stuff, but I rebuilt this desk in my room, in my podcast room, my media center. I call it the Ski Lodge. I work from home, and so I needed extra room for another monitor, another computer, and all the various notebooks and pens and styluses, and of course my Bushmills Original Smooth and Mellow Irish Whiskey, and my Alien Head Vodka, and my Crystal Head Vodka. I needed room for all this stuff, and so I rebuilt the desk. And then yesterday I'm doing my post-game broadcast, and I noticed that the microphone is drifting farther and farther away from my face, and I noticed that the part of the desk that I had clamped the microphone stand on, I hadn't clamped it well. And so there was like a gap between the bottom of the stand and the shelf that I had put it on. And so the stand was falling, so I had to pick it up. And that kind of distracted me. So it was not one of my better post-game shows. A lot of a lot of you-knows, because I was kind of distracted. And I don't like that. So I decided not to put that one up and instead to get on this morning and record my thoughts on the weekend as we head into the final game of the homestand before an off day and then a crucial trip to Tampa Bay. By the way, I know some of you listen on Spotify. I'm not sure what the deal is with Spotify. I've been having trouble finding it on Spotify. It is linked from Libsyn to Spotify, so right now it's not showing up. It is showing up on Apple Podcasts, obviously. A lot of you are listening on Apple Podcasts. It's showing up on all the other different feeds, Stitcher, things like that, but Spotify seems to be a bit of a delay. Anyway, Yankees won 4-3 yesterday. DJ LeMahieu was 1 for 4. He's up to 282. He had 2 home runs the other night. I think he's coming out of it a little bit, starting to use that right field porch. Someone pointed out an article that pitchers are pitching him more down in the zone, and so it's taken him a while to make an adjustment, but I think he has made that adjustment somewhat. I still don't think he's going to hit 360 this year, as he's done in the past couple of years. But I could see him hitting, between 290 and 305 maybe, with occasional power and, of course, solid defense, solid leadership. So I'm not worried at all about DJ LeMahieu. Giancarlo Stanton took the collar again yesterday, 0 for 4. Second consecutive game with the collar after a red-hot streak. Figures, I just created a video called Who Can Stop Giancarlo Stanton, or Can Anyone Stop Giancarlo Stanton, whatever it's called. And, of course, he gets immediately shut down by the Nationals, but hopefully he'll come out of it. Won't surprise me if he gets a day off today, because the Yankees do have an off day tomorrow. He's played a lot, and I think the Yankees might just want to give him some rest to ensure that he's okay going to that turf in Tampa next week. Aaron Judge, another candidate for a day off. He was 1 for 4 yesterday, batting .245. Just hasn't been as dominant as usual this season, but I think it's coming at some point. He's struggling a little bit right now. It happens to the best of us, but I think he's going to turn it around. Gleyber Torres has begun to turn it around. His average up over 240 now. Seems like not that long ago he was on the interstate. Still no home runs for Gleyber Torres, but he was 2 for 5 yesterday with a game-tying single and a game-winning single. Had 2 ribbies. His OPS still a very low 623. Brett Gardner, 0 for 3 yesterday with 3 strikeouts. He's batting .190. His OPS is .493. I think the clock is ticking on Brett Gardner to get going, or he might end up on the same path that Albert Pujols has ended up on. Brett Gardner has gotten his wish. He's gotten to play in front of fans, but I think it's time to consider getting some youth in here, because I don't think Brett Gardner really has much left. I feel bad that Mike Tauchman got dealt, because he did nothing wrong. He was a good player, and he's doing a nice job for San Francisco. Aaron Hicks pinch hit yesterday and struck out. He's batting .194. Clint Frazier, 0 for 3. He's down to 150. Mike Ford, 1 for 4 with that crucial RBI single through the left side late in the game. He's batting just 108. But it sounds like Luke Voigt, who hit another home run yesterday in AAA, might be on the verge of rejoining the Yankees. It's worth considering that the Yankees may hold him out when they go to Tampa because of that turf. He's coming back off of knee surgery. You want to take it easy on your knees. And let's be honest, that turf in Tampa is the enemy of the Yankees. It seems like every time they play there, somebody gets hurt or hobbled a little bit. Kyle Higashioka hit a home run yesterday off of Max Scherzer. He's batting .222, but a .949 OPS because he does damage. And then Tyler Wade, 0 for 2 yesterday, batting .200. Miguel Andujar, still 0 for the season. He pinch hit and went to third base. He was 0 for 2. On the mound yesterday, pretty solid outing from Corey Kluber. Once again, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, kept the ball in the ballpark. He's got a 3.06 ERA so far. That's pretty solid. Chad Green pitched well, bounced back from his tough outing, 1 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 2.33 ERA. Lucas Litke with 2 scoreless innings. He's got a 3.26 ERA. And Aroldis Chapman did allow a run, but it was not an earned run because it was one of those runners that they put on in extra innings because of that stupid Manfred rule. He still got a 0 ERA, did have 2 strikeouts. And then Justin Wilson picked up the win, pitched well. He's got a 6.23 ERA, but got the job done yesterday. For the Nationals, Max Scherzer, 7 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts. He's got a 2.33 ERA. I've heard a lot of fans saying that the Yankees should go out and get Max Scherzer, and after watching yesterday, I fully endorse that. However, you do not trade Jason Dominguez. I've heard a few people, I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it in my comments, say that the Yankees should give up whoever the Nationals ask for. And Jason Dominguez, to me, is the one guy who's untouchable. I'd give them David Garcia. I'd give them Clark Schmidt. I'd give them Estevan Florial or Clint Frazier or some combination thereof. A couple of low-level minor leaguers. Oswald Peraza is not beyond discussion. Anthony Volpe or Austin Wells. Anthony Siegler. The Yankees do have some pretty good prospects. Luis Medina, Luis Heel. All these guys have high ceilings. I don't know what the Nationals would ask for, but if they ask for anything short of Jason Dominguez, I think you got to pull the trigger because Corey Kluber is pretty good, but he's not Max Scherzer. Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer as 1-2 in your playoff rotation, followed by Corey Kluber as number 3, possibly Luis Severino as your number 4. And you've still got Domingo Germán, who I think would pitch great out of the bullpen in the playoffs. He's usually really good for the first couple of innings. Same thing with Jameson Taillon. You got Jordan Montgomery if you have a team that's got a lot of lefties that you have to pitch to, possibly the Dodgers. I think Jordan Montgomery would pitch well against the Dodgers, who, by the way, are struggling right now. Last I saw, they were 4-14 in their last 18 games. So that just goes to show you that it can happen to anybody. Anybody can struggle. Domingo Germán will get the ball in the rubber game of the series today. So far in 25 innings this season, he's 2-2 with a 4.32 ERA. He's allowed 6 home runs, so that's too many for 25 innings. He has 25 strikeouts and 5 walks, so a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's much better than he had prior to his suspension. Domingo Germán, just 28 years old. Despite his domestic violence suspension, I would think that he has some pretty good trade value should the Yankees need to go out and get that second ace, because he's under control for a couple more years. He's relatively young. He's got really good stuff. He seems unfazed. It's evident that some of his teammates are unhappy with what happened with him and the whole domestic violence thing. I don't know how it's unfolded since spring training. He seems to be doing much better. Seems to be having a good time in the dugout. He's done well, 2-2 with a 4.32 ERA so far. I'll be interested to see what he does today. If he dominates, he could be somebody that the Nationals consider as they look for trade chips from other teams, for Max Scherzer. But again, I don't know that Brian Cashman would pull the trigger on a Max Scherzer deal. I can't think of a single time in Brian Cashman's tenure that he's gone out in the middle of the season and traded for a difference maker, ace level pitcher. There have been plenty of opportunities. The one that sticks in my mind is Justin Verlander. Now, Verlander, to be fair, was not having a great season with the Tigers when the Astros traded for him, but the Yankees and the Astros both knew his potential because his metrics, his StatCast data, was off the charts, as it always is. And the Astros were able to translate that into dominant pitching. And it came back to bite the Yankees and Brian Cashman. Would Cashman go out and make that move? Does he have the cojones to go out there and get Max Scherzer? I just don't know. I also don't know if the Nationals would trade him. I mean, he's a guy that is a fan favorite. Fans love him there. And the Nationals are not terrible. I mean, they're off to a slow start, but they could be right in it at the trade deadline. They could be, within a couple of games of first place. And if you're that close, it could really alienate your fan base if you move a beloved pitcher like Max Scherzer. But offense this year has been atrocious across the league. Home runs are down, batting averages are down, slugging percentages are down. And Major League Baseball seems to have screwed themselves by changing these baseballs. Last year was so exciting in the postseason. All these runs scored. And I get it, a lot of people love pitching duels. I love a good pitching duel, but not every single day. I'm getting tired of seeing these baseballs die on the warning track. I kind of wish they would bring back the 2020 balls, I'll tell you. I just don't see it happening, though. Major League Baseball is going to have to gut this one out and hope that with hot weather comes more offense. But then you're going to get back to the postseason, and balls are just going to be dying. But that should make for some good postseason pitching duels like we've seen in the past. I've been thinking a lot lately about the future of this little Yankees endeavor that I've got going. It's become pretty clear that people are responding to the YouTube channel. We're up to 12,432 subscribers. And honestly, it hasn't been around for a ton of baseball games. I began it in December of 2019. But then the season was delayed, and then we had that short 60-game season, and then the playoffs. So you figure maybe 70 games. And then this year we've had 33 games so far. So that's one of the reasons that I expanded to the audio podcast. I got an offer from somebody at a podcast company to open a podcast on their network, but the money just wasn't what I was hoping for. I think I can do better on my own, just using my own marketing skills. And I read some reviews about the boss over there and just wasn't impressed. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing it on my own for a while and then reevaluate at the end of the season. I've taken it about as far as I can take it without any employees. I feel like I've built some pretty good stuff, but I would need help. Maybe another co-host or possibly somebody to manage the audio side, maybe a social media person. But I need to let this develop for a while before I can afford to bring on other people, unless a bigger company steps in and offers me some investments, which is a possibility. But with John Boy Media out there, I mean, it's unlikely that anybody's going to invest in another company other than John Boy Media that does a similar type of thing. My oeuvre, if you will, is somewhat different than John Boy Media. I'm more focused on actual baseball, less on entertainment, trying to, really go after the hardcore fans that just want more Yankees content. But I am going to expand in my movie direction. I've got this other channel called STREAMSKI. I originally began podcasting with a podcast called Ski Lodge Cinema, the Ski Lodge Cinema podcast, where it was just movie reviews. And I'm thinking about bringing that back now that movies are starting to come out again. And I just need to give a little bit of thought on how I can, make that really successful. So I am working to build out in other directions beyond baseball. I want to get more into book reviews. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of reading. I want to have more conversations with, philosophers and smart people in different subject areas. I recently talked to Donald Hoffman. He's a professor emeritus at the University of California, Irvine. And he's got this interesting theory about, consciousness and how consciousness may be fundamental in the universe. And it was one of the most fun conversations I've ever had. But again, it doesn't fit into the mold of anything specific. It's just kind of like a fun conversation that I hosted on that other channel. I also talked about the Justice League reboot, Zack Snyder, with a super fan, my buddy Justin Frieze. I talked about video games with my buddy Rob. I know that I've got the ability to create really good content. I've just got to find the right niche for that channel rather than just doing scattershot on different things that I'm interested in. I want to do more paranormal stuff. We've got this big UFO report coming out in June about, the ATIP program and how the government is releasing a report basically on all these unidentified flying objects. It was part of the COVID package that was signed last winter, was that the military had to report everything that they knew about UFOs. And I think that's going to be good content. So I'll probably get into that, but I am looking for ways to expand this channel. So if anybody has any ideas or any investors or, wants to be a part of this channel, wants to submit some content, I'm open to those discussions. I hear a lot of people, they send me emails like, I want to come on your show. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's tough for me to bring people on without really knowing them because unless you're a content creator, I really don't know how you are on camera. I don't know your personality. I could have somebody on, especially if it's live, and they go on a racist rant or something like that, and then it just kills my channel. So I can't allow that. But I do try and bring other content creators on. So I'm just kind of giving some thought as to how I want to continue to grow this channel. I did reach out to John Boy Media to see if they needed one more person, and they didn't respond back. I am interviewing Joe's McFly on Monday night, so that'll be on the Tuesday Yankees Game Day show. I reached out to some other celebrities. I will be interviewing Ron Bloomberg, the original DH, the first ever DH. But again, he's interesting, but I don't think he's going to take that channel to the next level because most of my viewers are younger and they don't know who Ron Bloomberg is. I reached out to Meredith Marakovich twice to invite her on the show and Jack Curry. They all said no, which is interesting to me because I've seen them go on other shows that are much smaller than me. So I don't know what it is about, my channel. Maybe it's too big at this point to bring on some of those folks because it might be considered a competitor to some of the Yes programming. So I continue to think of ways to build this out, to make it bigger. My ultimate goal is not to have my face on billboards or to be as huge as somebody like a John Boy or a Jake. I respect the heck out of what they do, but I don't want to be recognized when I'm out on the street. I just want to make a living doing Yankees content. Right now I work for a company where I do marketing and it's a job, but it's not what I want to do with my life, right? I could care less about a lot of the things that I'm working on. All I really care about right now is this baseball stuff that I'm working on. So I'm looking for ways to make it bigger, make it better. So if anybody has any ideas, go ahead and email me at nyyrrecapsdaily@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at MusingsOfDerek and send me your thoughts. I'm going to let you guys go. Again, happy Mother's Day to the moms out there. I'll see you on the postgame.